Alright, what we're going to show you here today is we're going to do a little bit of work with the outdoor edge knives and show you how to break a deer down. So first of all, I like to start with laying on a table like this. It works out pretty slick. I'll pull this bone, come around over here on this side. I'll pull this leg back, holding this leg with my hip, and then go down to the ball socket here in the hind quarter, and then follow this hip bone around as it makes its curve to get right up on top over here. So the whole leg comes off from that ball socket, just like that. So then what I like to do is take the flanks off both sides, up to the rib, and I cut that back. I'll peel the inside tenderloins out. Obviously it helps a lot to have a sharp knife. The front shoulder is attached purely by muscle. So just by putting a little pressure up on that front leg, I can peel that right off real quick, just like that. So then, I'll spin them around here to get this back towards me again. Okay, over here on this side, I'm going to take and make a cut straight from the edge of this hip bone all the way to the backbone, and then follow that backbone all the way forward to the neck. Make a straight line cut there, and then follow the top of the ribs and come right into that shelf on the top of the ribs to this back leg. And then I'll peel this out off of that cut that I made earlier, just like that. Now, I'll start up by the neck and just follow the rib bone, rib cage down, and take this plate meat all off from here. It's real easy, just keeping a little pressure against the bone and just peeling it right off, kind of like filleting a fish. A little bit of clean up here. Okay, now I'll flip him over to this other side, and we'll do the same thing, cutting into this ball socket here and following that bone down around into the hip. One chunk, just like that. And we'll cut the flank meat off on this side. Shoulder blade, again, a little bit of pressure, following the rib cage up, and just pulling him off, just like so. Now I'll flip him around, go over here to see where I'm cutting into this. Again, right at that H bone, all the way to the back, follow the backbone down, up to the neck, straight cut there, make a straight cut across, and I come back by the loin side here, and I follow the shelf all the way down this deer, right to the backbone. We've got that side off. Cut the plate meat off here. Obviously, for video's sake, we're trying to, get through this so I can show the whole process. Now, normally I would go back and clean more meat off of this carcass, but I wanted to get through all the steps. Now I'm going to take and cut on the esophagus side, the bottom side of the neck, and start peeling this neck all the way around. So that way I can bring this all off in one piece. Flip it and just keep following and pulling that along, so we can pull this neck roast and make a really nice roast, or put it in a crock pot all day, let it shred out, add your favorite barbecue sauce or whatever you want to do. So there we go. In a nutshell, that's how you break down a deer. Again, it's important to have a good sharp knife. Helps a lot. Outdoor edge knives work great for us. Next time, maybe we'll start breaking some of these down and showing you how we break each part down. What I'm going to show you now is how to properly break down a hind quarter. Now, what I've already done, just to save video time length, is I've already trimmed all the excess fat off of this hind quarter on both sides. Also, any debris that would have got on here from field dressing. I just, right out of the beginning, I scrape all that stuff off, get rid of it. The fat is where you get a lot of your gamey taste, and obviously the debris and the leaves and the dirt and whatnot from being in the field, you don't want that. So first I start in from the ball socket, and I follow this bone to the front of the knuckle, right to the kneecap right there. And then I'll follow the back side of the bone around on the other side. I'll come in, cut in from this tendon, go to that shank, and follow it all the way up to that same cut. And I'll do this on all the sides. I'm going to peel this all off of here in one piece. Come around that joint, I bring all that shank meat around with it, go back into that knuckle, follow the bone around the front, and then I'll follow the bone around the back and get that meat off the back side of there all the way up to that ball socket. Strip that down, and right there you go, one solid chunk in. Now that I've got that separated, then I'll go ahead and I separate 4 muscles out of here. My top, bottom, my knuckle, and then there's a piece that sits on top of the knuckle here, off that upper hip that will separate too. You just follow the membrane. There's a membrane in between each of these muscles. And again, with a nice sharp knife like this, outdoor edge that we're using here, this is their boning series. We can follow that real easy and separate each one of these. There's a little gland in here. We take that out. And then I clean up any of this excess, this gristle here. It's just real tough, and we can throw it in with trim later. Clean any other fat that's on there. We got it nice clean on both sides. We can start a little pile of trim there. Okay, now we'll take the knuckle and just, again, split these off, follow those membranes. This would be your sirloin tip. And I'll trim any of this blued. This is where you get real tough. We'll trim that off of there. Add that to our trim pile. Now we've got our knuckle, our peeled knuckle. And here's that smaller piece of meat that I was referring to earlier. I also peel this off. You know, this here was a 1.5-year-old buck. Some of your does, this won't be a very significant size of meat, but right here, you know, you get a few nice little steaks out of that guy. And we'll add the rest of that to that trim pile there. So now here's your big guy. This is going to be your top round. This is your nice, these steaks turn out real pretty. Just kind of clean him up. Do the blued down. Peel these off. We got a little trim of fat there I missed. We got a trim pile. We've got 4 sections of steak, all split up from the hind quarter, ready to rock, whether we're cutting turkey or steaks or whatever it may be. All right, now what I'm going to show you here is the front shoulder. How to take this off the bone. Now again, for video purposes, to keep it short as I can, I've already scraped away a lot of the excess fat, any debris or dirt that was on this piece of meat already, cleaned it up. So what I like to do is come into the front side of the shoulder blade and trim off from the scapula and come to the back side of the shoulder blade. And I'll follow that bone on both sides and just follow that shoulder blade all the way down to the edge and just pull it away from that bone, just like that. And I'll follow it all the way back to this front leg bone. And then follow that down, just like that, and come off the front of this tendon on that elbow joint right there. So now I've peeled it off the shoulder blade there, and I can peel this shank meat out as well. On both sides, and just follow that right around that front leg. We're going to try in the end here to keep most of this all intact. bring it right forward to where we start cutting this apart and follow that blade. And then I peel off the back side of the blade until it all comes out, just like that. And we just have a little bit on here to clean up. And then we've taken a shoulder blade now, which will make good trim. We don't like to use this for anything but trim meat, burger meat, whether you're making salami or snack sticks or something like that. Just makes good roasts. So, but that right there is what you would get out of a front quarter out of a 1.5-year-old buck right there. Okay, now what I'm going to show you here, we got a couple of loin back straps, and I'm just going to kind of go through the process of how to peel these apart, and I will cut some regular chops, and then we'll do some butterfly to show you how we do that. So first of all, I'm just going to grab by the skinny end right here. I can grab a hold of this fat and this membrane and separate it. I can do all this by hand, get most of this, the bigger part of it off, and then I can go through and trim up and use part of this for trim, get rid of that tendon and this big chunk of fat layer on the top of the back. So now I've got it peeled down like that. That's what it looks like on both sides. So what I'll do is I'll start from the large end of the loin, and I'll come into the end of it and holding my blade at about a 20-degree angle, just like you're filleting a fish, and just follow that membrane all the way down. So that takes that gristle off of that back strap all in one shot. So now what I can do is just kind of clean it up a little bit better. Any of that gristle, we can add that into our trim pile. It's going to be just fine. So then I'll peel off this top. I like to separate this. Some guys leave this in here. I like to clean it up nice. It just makes for a really nice looking steak. So I'll peel that off, come right down to the end there, clean this up, square it off. I've got a little bit of tail still on this side. Okay, so there we've got our nice clean loin. Clean that up a little. All right, so take our butcher knife here, outdoor edge, make some nice little chops. Now you can make these any thickness that you want. You know, we're doing about a 1/2 inch, maybe a little under right here, makes a pretty nice size, and just a beautiful, beautiful piece of meat there. Notice how I keep my fingers tucked in at that knife side. These knives are very sharp. So now, again, we'll take towards the skinny side, we'll peel this apart, get this big stuff off here, trim it up, what we can use for trim, put in our trim pile, throw away the excess fat. So we've got our regular cut there, flip it over, put that 20 degrees angle. You can kind of hold it against that gristle and peel it right off. Just slick. Okay. We'll clean him up again here. Get this separated from the membrane. It just makes just for really nice to keep it cleaned up, get any gristle, make these steaks as best they can be. Make sure we're clean on this side. Looks pretty good. I mean, see how good of a job that does. So now I'll grab my butcher knife again. Now if we're going to do a butterfly, we'll straighten that end up. So I'm going to cut all the way to the very bottom. Like I'm just going to have like a 1/4 inch left, so then I can split those out and I can make twice the size of steak of my normal chop. Split in, leave about a 1/4 inch. You can do that all the way down this loin, and this is what they call butterflied loin chop.